Let's actually start off with Flagrant first, all right? So I want to salute my boys over at Flagrant. I did their show, and, you know, if you guys have been watching the streams religiously, I left stream to go do the show. And by the way, we're doing great on there. A day in, we're at, 403,000, views. Shit, clips are going crazy. Hey, another successful appearance. To be honest, I think I have a really good batting average when I go on other people's podcasts. Again, I'm like one of the top 10 most viewed episodes on Flagrant, period. And most podcasts, we usually do pretty good numbers because we give it up. You know what I mean? Like, we don't go there and just play the PC, let me just say what I need to say just to kind of be cool. We give it up, right? I like Flagrant too in terms of it being a podcast because it's comedians. And when you go in there, it's like a lion's den. Everybody got jokes for you and you're getting hit at every angle. You got to take the punches, give it back, and just keep it cool. Like, keep it chill. Anyway, I went on there. By the way, I think this is their longest episode yet. Obviously, that's another thing we do. Every time I get on somebody's podcast, I do the longest episode they've ever had. Bradley Martin, longest episode he's ever had. Flagrant, longest episode they ever had. I think Joe Budden, we did the longest episode they ever had. I think they had to cut it up into like multiple episodes. It's always, I love to talk, and clearly this is why I do 6-hour streams where I can just fucking rant. But it's all good. Anyway, if you guys haven't watched it, please go watch it. Go drop like, a scorpion under the comment section. We got to show strength in numbers because they always try to play with us, act like we ain't shit. So, if you can, just go support, drop a comment in there. Just say the chat niggas are checking in. Okay, anyway, let me, by the way, it is so funny. Let me, here we go. Okay, there's two arguments I kind of wanted to get to. Now, this is going to be for people who are a little bit older, I think. If you don't know how I got into the position I am, you always have to know your history if you're trying to, learn from people and build into the future, right? It's like, Kobe Bryant, even though Michael Jordan was more dominant in a decade before him, well, not really necessarily, but like when at his peak, Michael Jordan was dominant at the decade before. He learned a lot from Michael, right? And then he added a few things, and that's how he became him. And like, everybody builds on top of everybody, pause. And I guess I say that to say, me, when it comes to broadcasting and radio, I've always looked at the people that came before me. Like, I've looked at, obviously Charlemagne, I've looked at Star, I've looked at, I've always said Wendy is the GOAT, right? Because I think that, what y'all call gossiping this and third, and, it's interesting when like, remember, Dame Dash said to Charlemagne, was like, yo, you a chatty patty. Well, I don't give a fuck what people say I do. Like, I'm just talking. I don't give a fuck what you call it. Gossiping, chatty patty. I don't give two fucks. And neither am I sensitive about it. But to me, when it comes to like black culture and like, affecting like the entertainment business, I think that Wendy Williams she set the fucking bar on how impactful someone could be just solo for the most part, holding down a mic and just providing entertainment and giving and disseminating information. Okay. Anyway, here's the conversation, and I want y'all honest opinion because I told y'all about this before. I hope I wasn't hating. Like, that's one of the things I never want. I see people hate on me. Y'all see people hate on me all the time, but I never want to come off as a salty hater. And I'm going to give you guys, because I know you always hold me accountable, let me know if I'm hating. So let me frame the debate. Obviously, I have a vast knowledge of people who came before me in terms of broadcasters, whether it's, Ed Lover, obviously Big Boy, you have Sway, you have Charlemagne, Star, everybody I've named before, even Wendy. We got to this debate about who's the greatest person on radio. And while I do believe Charlemagne is one of the greatest ever, my conversation was something beyond that. I said the GOATs. I have to have Wendy in there and Howard Stern, and I said primarily because of one reason. The reason is not only did they dominate at radio when they were on it, they then at a point in their career said, I'm out. And they took their entire audience with them to their next platform. That's very hard to do. That's like, imagine y'all all watch me on, these apps that stream and YouTube, and I tell y'all, all y'all have to only now watch me on HBO. I think some of y'all will go because we got some loyal people in here, but not everybody gonna go. They're gonna be like, I'm gonna catch you, my nigga. Right? Let's be honest, right? Kind of the same way even with the Spotify, right? Like, hey, some people, and by the way, a lot of people already had Spotify, so some people went to Spotify, but some people like, yo, we'll wait till we see the YouTube clips, gang. We love you, though. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ability to move an audience. Now, let me give you the example of Howard Stern and Wendy. Howard Stern, right, literally left FM radio and went to Sirius Radio, which is satellite, and he brought pretty much all his audience there to the point he was getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars per year because his value in the audience he brought was so much. He is a one of one. I think that makes him a GOAT. Now, who else has done that? I said Wendy Williams has done that too. Wendy Williams, who used to be on WBLS, you got to realize Wendy Williams' audience isn't like us. Like, Wendy Williams' audience is like middle-aged woman. You know what I mean? Like, middle-aged woman who likes to hear the tea on Housewives and, you know what I mean, like who's fucking who and blah, 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 right? She moved those people to daytime TV. Like, she left radio, went to a TV show, and that TV show was successful because her audience went there. Okay. Now, with Charlamagne, one of the best talents who've ever held down a microphone. However, what I was saying that was different between Wendy and Howard Stern and him, we haven't seen him being able to move the Breakfast Club audience to any of the other things he's done. For example, if the Breakfast Club, which is number one, right? If he could move even a portion of that audience to his daytime TV ventures, or not daytime, late night TV ventures like Uncommon Sense and Hell of a Week, those shows would have been wildly successful because, again, I think those companies were just looking at like, hey, are we going to see if that Breakfast Club audience is going to come over here? By the way, this is not a knock on Charlamagne. I don't think I could move y'all to TV late night. You know what I mean? Like, it's such an antiquated thing, right? So that's what I was trying to say. Now, Schultz, you're going to hear he's going to make an argument. And by the way, I'm summing up this whole thing before you hear it. Schultz is going to say, well, he has moved an audience. He's moved an audience from radio to YouTube. Now, what I didn't say in the moment, but I wish I had said, because I think Schultz is all the way wrong. All the way wrong. What I really should have said is that the Breakfast Club didn't move their audience from radio to YouTube. The Breakfast Club followed their audience to YouTube. Their audience was listening and regurgitating the on-air shit on YouTube. So they then adopted it. By the way, there was a time where the Breakfast Club used to strike pages who put up stuff of theirs on YouTube till they realized you can't fight YouTube. Then they deleted about 20 pages and got one official page. Matter of fact, the official Breakfast Club page with like 6 million followers wasn't even theirs. It was ran by a fan. They took it over. So they didn't say, hey, we're going to YouTube. All y'all come. No. The content was being consumed on YouTube, and they then said, all right, let's go there to monetize it. Very big difference than what I'm talking about with Howard Stern and Wendy Williams. Let me play.
Get a Charlamagne.
Exactly.
But Charlamagne's the greatest radio host.
Let me grab some water.
Our generation, without a doubt.
Other than Wendy.
No, Wendy doesn't come close.
What?
No, Wendy doesn't come
Charlamagne
close.
has had a longer run than Wendy.
Charlamagne wouldn't even say that.
Charlamagne is the greatest radio host.
Right now?
Charlamagne is the greatest radio host in our generation, is not a question. And probably,
I guarantee
objectively speaking, probably the greatest ever, if you really wanted to look at it. Probably the greatest.
It's him or Howard.
Hold on.
It's only him or Howard that you can talk about.
Wendy is the GOAT. Wendy turned because she turned what she was doing on.
I'll walk down the street. I'll walk down the street. I'll ask 10 Asian people. They know who Wendy Williams is. They don't know the fuck she is.
What because you're talking about now? Play this.
Back then. I'll ask 10
Wendy
agents.
Williams had a daytime TV show that she can still go back to now.
You don't understand.
You're on the
Charlamagne's
internet too much, bro.
He's international.
So you're hold on.
Like Charlamagne's international.
You're telling me that
like you don't understand.
You don't understand.
You don't
bro.
understand.
Let me tell you something.
Like,
Wendy was popular at a time where hip hop existed primarily, and it was digested primarily in America, with the Breakfast Club and the YouTube channel. The Breakfast Club was the only access to hip hop commentary outside of America. You have also become one of these portals, but the Breakfast Club was daily listening. So everybody in the world knows who Charla is.
Remember when I talked about hip hop platforms and I talked about like like Shade Room and shit like that? Put like this. What Wendy Williams had in terms of when she went to mainstream TV, like midday type of shit. I'm sorry, hip hop doesn't come close. And I'm talking for me and anybody that's been in hip hop.
What I'm telling you is
it does not come close.
What I'm saying.
Don't make fun of my Lacoste shirt. My mama bought me this. My mama bought me this. Stop playing with me. My mama bought me this. If you think it comes close otherwise, I don't even know where she got it, but she bought me it. If it came close, Charlamagne would be hosting a midday television show.
That's also a TV show. You're talking about a TV show.
Also,
he said radio. He said he's the greatest radio host. You're talking about a TV show.
But we're talking about skill at that point.
No, I'm talking about greatest radio.
So, but we're primarily talking about skill. Or we're talking about numbers.
But why not bring up Oprah? You bring up a bunch of other like black TV personalities.
No, are we talking about skill? Or are we talking about like if we're talking about skill? I agree with you.
I'm talking about skill.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. If I'm talking about impact and everything, that's why I say nobody top Wendy.
The only person you could compare Charlamagne to is Howard Stern.
I'd probably give it to Howard, but that's
now here's
not
the
a diss
difference.
at all.
Here's the difference. Howard came up at a time
Well, I want to know what you guys think about that.
where radio was
And we're doing a hater alert or a hater watch. Am I coming across like I'm hating or am I kicking facts? Let me know. It's very important.
way more dominant. Charlotte found a way to take radio programming and compete with everybody on the internet. He turned radio into TV. Now, Howard had a TV show on E. That's kind of how most of us knew Howard.
The only thing I would push back with that.
Let me say this, and this with all due respect to Howard. Put Charlamagne on radio at the same time as Howard back in the day. Nobody says the name Howard Stern ever.
I'm going to be honest.
No one says it. No, with the freedom to say whatever you want, like Howard said. Nobody says the name Howard Stern.
Let me bring up a counter.
That's cap, bro. Like, by the way, I appreciate Schultz's perspective because this is the one topic he should be biased in, right? Like, what Charlamagne has done for Schultz's career, he is immeasurably thankful for, and he's always been so grateful despite him achieving his own, heights and peaks as well. So he should be biased. But like, Howard Stern, I ain't gonna lie to you, when I was a kid and I wanted to see naked bitches and I guess porn wasn't that accessible, you had to go find like the unedited version of Howard Stern. He used to bring naked hoes in the studios with like rappers, like Snoop Dogg would be there and you have two bitches in the studio like fucking and shit like that. Like Howard Stern was like a G. Like I'm telling you, like Howard Stern was the guy. I ain't even gonna hold you.
Hold on. There's a fucking movie about Howard Stern's life that was probably made hundreds of millions of dollars. You're not doing that for just anybody. That's a radio guy who wrote a book that was a bestseller, and then they made a movie out of it.
It's because radio was the dominant.
But what other radio person ever had?
All right, guys, we're gonna take a break for a second.
Oh shit, is too added in. That's what I'm talking about. Stern. Now we got to talk about the ability to move an audience because Howard Stern said, "Hey, I'm going too motherfucking serious. Everybody come there." Now we got to talk about impact in terms of that. So now you have to equate anybody you're going to mention with Howard Stern in moving an audience. And the only thing that's why I said Wendy is because Wendy was operating on daytime or whatever her slot was, and she brought people to TV. You now have to tell me anybody else beside Howard Stern who has brought an audience from A to B, which is a different meaning.
Charlamagne.
Yeah.
Where to where?
YouTube
Radio
is
to
TV.
internet.
YouTube is TV.
Like, are you crazy?
And not only did he bring it to TV,
See, that's cap. Again, restating that point, I felt I should have interjected and said, and I think I said it in a roundabout way, the reason why an Akademiks existed is because the audience went to YouTube. Remember, I was trying to get to radio. Then I realized the audience was going the other way. So I'm driving to the path of getting to radio. My dream was to get to radio. So I'm driving like, let me see how I could get to radio. And I'm watching the audience all come to the place that I am already at, YouTube. That's why after that I said, peace, I'm good. I never want to be on radio. So that's disingenuous thinking that one man or Charlemagne brought people to radio. No. Or people to the internet. No. Motherfuckers came to the internet. They came to YouTube. They started listening to creators like myself and others. And then other platforms that weren't on YouTube, they acquiesced. Oh, okay. All right, y'all listen over there. We'll put our content over there too because we got good content.
Meaning it was on the TV at that time every single day, and there was 8 other channels you could fucking watch. Yeah. There was millions other channels you could watch, and you tapped in on YouTube.
Son,
no, you can't brand that.
So you, of
How
all
can
people,
you
know
not
how
see
hard
YouTube
it
as
is to-
TV? YouTube is
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to play too much of it. I want you guys to go watch it. But that was essentially their point that, the impact is still felt like a Howard Stern or a Wendy in terms of being able to, just move an audience. I disagreed. I definitely think Charlamagne is a really talented. He's really talented when it comes to being a personality on the mic. But if we're evaluating at the top about bringing audience, to equate it like this, it would be like, yes, is LeBron James the best basketball player? Yes, right? But there's been other really good players as well. Like, for example, I'm not going to say, clearly he doesn't belong in the same realm as like LeBron James. But let's say Paul George, right? Like Paul George is a really good basketball player. Or let's say Kawhi Leonard is a really good basketball player, right? But is Kawhi Leonard's impact on selling out arenas and bringing like massive amount of commerce because you are now there? Like you're bringing the people, you're bringing the business. Is it like LeBron? Hell no. Like if LeBron goes to any mid-level city and that city is now like booming off of basketball because LeBron is there, right? He's bringing the market, right? He's bringing everybody there. He's bringing the eyeballs. He's bringing things to him. I think that's rare. You don't see a lot of people that do that. Anyway, that was one disagreement that we kind of had, and then we got into the fresh and fit stuff, okay?